Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, thanks for watching this video real quick. If you're into videos that give you the tips and techniques on how to catch and find bass and break down those techniques in the most easy to learn ways, well, this is the channel for you. My name's Craig Daniels and this is Rocky Top Splash. Most of the time you see me out on Lake Chickamauga in Dayton, Tennessee. But today we've moved a little bit north to Watts Bar Lake in Spring City, Tennessee. Now these two lakes are conjoined together as one large lake, but are separated by a dam. These two lakes fish completely different from one another. So what I'm going to go through today is, how do you find bass on a lake that has virtually no grass? What type of structure do you need to be fishing? What type of lure do you need to be throwing? Hang around guys, we're going to break down everything you need to know about lure, setup, what type of structure, how to find that structure, and exactly how to fish it when you get there. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. So in the fall, your water temperature is going to start going down, and the bass are going to be trying to look for areas that can keep them warm and also where the bait fish are going to feed up. So what I'm looking for right now is hard structure that's going to hold heat and also give the places for bait fish to get up in those hard to reach areas, and give a spot where bass can ambush them and get an easy meal. So what I found here is just a big long rock wall that is probably a mile long. It's not a rock ledge, it's just shallow rocky bank, and it should give a lot of cover for those bait fish. And I'm going to fish that up as shallow as I possibly can, and I'm going to drag the lure or whatever I prefer. Right now it's a river to sea plopper. You can also use chatterbaits, spooks, buzz baits, whatever topwater you prefer in order to find the fish. I'm going to hit the shallow area, drag it off into where the rock ends, and I'm going to pause it. So let's go ahead, set this thing up, and see how we do over here on our first spot. There we go, first one of the day. Got to find structure in the fall. Rocky points, a lot of bait fish, more to come. Yeah, grab it. There's two in the boat. A good sweeping hook set on these ploppers gets that hook right in the top of that mouth. If you're having problems keeping a hook set on these things, let off of it a little bit and just try to give it a good sweep. I've had a lot of success doing that, and it really buries them up in there. Look like a good fishing day so far. Right off the edge, rocky points. That's where all the bait fish are hanging out right now. In the current, another good fish. Gary hooked a nice one on the chatterbait back there, black and blue chatterbait for dingier water. He's fishing on the deeper side of the rocks, and I'm fishing on top of the rocks, kind of getting a double duo going on. That's smallmouth. Now that smallmouth there was a small one. The minimum size keep length on Watts bar is 18 inches. So you'll catch a 3-pound smallmouth before you can keep it. But that's a good sign. Gary's got one on. Now what's happening with these fish that we're catching right now, this is just a large rock wall. It's not a bluff, it's just shallow rocky cover, and the current is pushing these bait fish up on the edge of this bank, and this is where the fish are going to go all through the fall. As soon as those bait fish start to move in, the bass are going to fall into the shallow areas, whether that's rocks or stumps, laydowns, wherever that bait fish is moving, that's where the bass are going to be. Sometimes it gets really difficult to find the bait fish, but if you'll find the current and watch your temperature change, that's how you're going to know when those bait fish are most active. Once it gets to about 72 degrees coming out of that summer, that's when the fish become really active. Alright guys, we're off to a great start this morning. I want to show you how we're fishing this channel that we're actually in. It's not really a long creek channel, it's actually off the main lake, but it does break off in kind of like an arm. You can see right here, it comes around this bend. Now this appears where we had just started. All this current is pushing down around these bends. This rock wall we just fished, this is where we caught those 5 at. All this bait fish and everything that's coming in this creek channel is pushing up on the edge of these banks, and these fish are coming up in these rocks and just pushing up against those rocks, and that's their ambush point, is the edge of the wall out to the edge of the rocks. So that's how you want to fish a creek channel like this that has current coming into it. Now if we were coming down the bank, like right here, you'll see we have this tree. Now the current is coming down the river with us. The fish should not be on the left side of this tree. The best way to fish this tree, which this here would be considered another secondary point off of that wall, the fish should be staged on the back side of that tree where the current breaks. That tree acts like a barrier where the current pushes up against that and the bass stage on the back side of it. Now Gary's throwing his chatterbait right now around that, and that's a very good lure to throw around brush and laydowns. Once you get up around this brush pile, you can actually see how the current breaks. The bass are going to want to sit on the other side of it. This way, when those bait fish come down this creek channel, this gives them an ambush point on the back side to hit those smaller fish when they come down, whatever bait fish that is, whether it's bluegill, brim, shad, whatever you have in your lake. You can actually see the hard ripple of the current coming right here, and there's rocks, and this brush is actually stopping right here and is a little bit weaker on the back side. Perfect opportunity for a bass to sit there and get an easy meal. You can also see how it transitions into more of a rock pile in the back. Then on the bank, it goes to a more of a red clay, and that is how you can spot a softer bottom easily. While we're coming down through here, I'm not really focused on this area unless I can see large rocks in the water like this. This tells me that this is where my edge is. This is a transition from a rock point to a clay bank. This also creates another point of structure where that ends, where the rock pile ends and the clay bank begins, is another, it's a secondary type of structure. Just because you don't see the structure does not mean the structure's not there. This is the best way to spot the kind of bottom you have. Is look on the bank, you can see these rocks. Now over here it's just kind of a tapered hill. I guarantee you there's not any rocks out here off this point right here. This is going to be a soft clay bank point. All your rocks are going to be right here where this ledge is. It's broke off over the years or whatever caused it to come into the water. This is where your rocks are going to be. Focus on this type of area instead of that area. However, on the other end, there's another treetop with some more brush. Same situation as behind us. Current coming down, current break on the back side, which is another small area where these bait fish can go and get out of this current. Oh, he got me. That's what's going to happen when those fish start schooling up. Literally made about 2 casts after we just talked a minute ago. Nice little fat bass. A little smaller, not a keeper, but look at that. Feeding up for the winter. Got that nice fat belly on him. You can really get some of the biggest fish in the fall. So let's talk about the different kinds of structure you're going to find in fish in the fall. Of course, you've got the stumps and the laydowns that you see all throughout the year, and docks. But one of my favorite places to go is rocks. Rock piles, rock ledges. Why do I tend to go towards rock piles more often? Because rocks hold heat, and the heat is what the fish are going to be looking for when this water temperature starts to really dip down, and it also gives the bait fish a very good place to hide. But one of the best sources of heat that's going to be there all year long for these fish is going to be boat ramps. Private boat ramps are very good because think about when they build these ramps. At the end of these boat ramps, there's going to be large piles of rocks, limbs, all the trash that comes from this current coming out of this creek. It's going to stop on this concrete right here. It gives a very good heat structure for these bass to get up on early in the morning, lay down, and most of the time on a private boat ramp they're going to have a private dock. Now these private docks, a lot of people come out and they fish their docks, and they're going to have brush piles and all this sitting around for when the grandkids come over and do all their fishing. So houses that have private boat ramps is something that I really look for. All the stuff that's around this is going to be very good heat source. So I like to fish the rocks and the boat ramps early in the morning when everything's calm, and it's just a very good, reliable place to go fish. When I want to focus on the larger docks It's going to be when the sun comes out, later up on in the day, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, that time frame. You're going to fish those docks at that time because it gives the bass a shady area. They're not going to want to just sit out here in the middle of the sun somewhere. It gives them a shady, dark spot that they can hide behind to also ambush the prey in the fall. Now let's talk about the lures and setups that we've used for today. When we first started out, one of my go-to fall search baits is the River to Sea Whopper Plopper. I'm sure you guys have thrown that. Some of my favorite colors is the powder, the Loon, the monkey butt, and the bluegill color. But they're all very good colors. They all work at different they all work their best at different times. What I like to do is, if it's clear water, go with a baitfish type pattern, and then if it's darker water, I go with a white or a black, which is the powder or the Loon. Now, anything with a treble hook on it, I throw a medium rod, not medium heavy, but on that plopper they have upgraded hooks and upgraded the hardware, so it's a heavier lure. I do upgrade to a medium heavy rod. I like the 7'2" Denny Brower edition from Ardent Pro Series rod. That's also what Gary throws his Whopper Plopper and also his chatterbaits on. 7'2" Ardent Denny Brower edition rod. Now anything that we mention here as far as the setup we have, I will leave links in the video description, so check that out. I'm not affiliated with Tackle Warehouse, but I will give you links to any lures that we like to use for the fall. Gary's go-to chatterbait's a Strike King. No, actually, he changed over. He likes the original chatterbait series. He likes black and blue. For this lake, it's Dingy Water. Dingy Water black and blue is a very good staple to go to. Clear water, go to your whatever bait fish pattern you have in your lake. So that wraps up today's video. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you enjoyed the video. Get out there. Don't be afraid of the fall season. Watch your water temperatures. When the water starts to get really cold, below 60 degrees, slow down the presentation. Don't be afraid to slow down and fish a little bit. Don't really pressure these fish into wanting to bite what you want to use. Let them tell you what they want. Get out here on the water. Fish simple. Simply catch fish.